Hello, everyone. I am Brandon, and I want to welcome you all here to the Tansson Talk Show, where our mission here is to help bring people together. I am so excited to bring you all this episode on this autumn day, and without further ado, please allow for me to introduce my guest for today, Alana Zeilander. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on. And so, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm very excited for this discussion, and I really can't wait to get into it.
Me too.
Yeah, so if you're able to take a moment to go ahead and introduce yourself for the watcher and listening audience here today.
Yeah, so I'm Alana. I recently graduated from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, and I studied journalism, public relations, and business there. And during my time there, I was able to found the first ever Public Relations Student Society of America chapter there. And really, how I fell in love with public relations was through my involvement in that and the club before that. And I'm currently post grad, which is really exciting. But yeah, I'm just excited to talk more about public relations and just, connecting with people. I love the idea of this podcast. And yeah, I'm just really excited.
Well, awesome. I'm so excited to have you on. And first of all, late congratulations on your graduation. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And so I guess I will start there. So how has, this past summer and now autumn, been for you after graduation?
It's been great. I did do some traveling in July, which was really awesome. I went to Europe for actually my third time in a year. So that was really awesome. Um, and I really got the chance to relax. I decided on purpose to take a break in between having a job and graduating. I think it's important for people to have time to recharge, like we do a lot in college, and you never get this time back. So I'm really thankful that I was able to do that. And now I'm currently on the job search, which has been really exciting.
Yeah, how has the job search been for you?
It's been very interesting. I really decided in August, I started applying like a lot more. And I've been applying to a lot of places ever since. And it's definitely been, a big time commitment, a lot of cover letters, a lot of sending out resumes. But it's been really great to connect with people. And I've just found that, throughout my time at college, I did always take that opportunity to connect with speakers I had in class or speakers from the PRSSA chapter. And that's really been very helpful, to talk to those professionals who know me and get their insights on the job search as well. But yeah, it's been going. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, and I like that you're also taking the time for yourself and recharging because you do a lot in college, and especially for you, definitely sounds like you had your hands full. So it's nice that you're able to have this time because, like you said, you never get this time back, so you might as well use it to your advantage.
Yeah, and it's definitely something like all professionals tell me when I talk to them, like, oh, like that's so great you took the time off. But it's also definitely hard at sometimes because I'm the type of person that likes to keep busy and, um, I do like to be doing a lot and like achieving, but I think it's definitely important to challenge yourself in that way to like take a step back. Um, I think it's just as important as like achieving and being involved in things as well.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that because even for myself, like I'm definitely a over ambitious person, a lot of the times, and so like I know when I finish my time in graduate school, like I do want at the very least to have like the summer like off, so to speak. I mean, I'll still be doing stuff, but definitely taking it slower, and I feel like that is a challenge in itself, especially as people like you said that want to stay busy.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I definitely want to hit on this in a moment. But let's take a step back. And so I know now you have your degree in public relations, but but before that, is this always the field you wanted to go to?
So I did not know what public relations was. When I went into college, I was a journalism major, and I chose that because I've always liked writing. I think that's something I enjoy, but also I'm good at. And I didn't want to go into more of like an English route. I thought, reporting is such an amazing job and so important. And I wanted to really learn as much as I could about that. So I did. My major was technically journalism in college, and my concentration ended up being public relations. But actually, when I went to UMass, there wasn't a public relations concentration yet. And it was when my freshman year began that they were looking to start the UMass PR Club, which was like the student organization before we became a PRSSA chapter. And just from the get go, I decided, you know what, like, why not, try that? Like, I don't know what PR is, but I'm interested. I've heard it's similar to journalism. So I went to a meeting for that, and it was really interesting. And they were electing the founding board for the UMass PR Club. And I just decided, I'm a freshman, I probably won't get it, but why not just apply and try? And I actually did get it. So I was the secretary for the club, which was such a amazing learning experience. I had never taken a PR class yet at that point, and it was really through those type of experiences, doing events, being the secretary, taking the notes, asking like, oh, what is like a news release? Like, what is the things you do when you're preparing to have a speaker? Because I was so young, I didn't know. But it was through those experiences that I really found a love for PR. And then from there, the next year they started the PR concentration, which I got involved in and declared that. And then it just led to me becoming the president of that club. And then when we transitioned to be a PRSSA chapter, I was also the founding president for that. So it's been just such an amazing journey to have been involved since the start. And being a PRSSA chapter was always our goal from when we founded the student organization. So it was just such a rewarding experience to be able to become the founding president. Um, it was actually my last semester when I became it. So yeah, it was just such an amazing, special experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, like within a single college journey, like you managed to see the entire history of public relations at your university. I mean, not everyone has the opportunity to say that that you were able to witness that, but you were heavily involved from it from the start.
Yeah, it's definitely a really special experience, but it would have never happened if I didn't just try and just apply to the secretary position. I think that you just like never know what can come out of something, and I just found like taking those leaps of faith have helped me so much.
Yeah, and I'll hit back on your PR journey in a moment, but you mentioned like your leaps of faith, and so are you able to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so I think definitely one of my first was, applying to that secretary position. I think it was probably like October of my freshman year. Um, and I think that just like in life, like trying new clubs like that interested me just because like even if it didn't, have to do with like a professional journey, um, really allowed me to just like learn more about myself. Um, so I was involved in like a lot of different like student organizations, but then I kind of would learn like, oh, actually I don't really like that as much as something else, and I think I'm spreading myself too thin. So just like trying new things, but then knowing that you don't have to stick with everything, I think is super important because there's so many clubs, and there's so many clubs I didn't even get to do that, maybe would have interested me, but I think it's important to kind of figure out what you like the most. Um and just not spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah, I think that's just such a great sentiment, and like you were saying too, just not spreading yourself out too thin. Because I think especially for me, like I love getting involved in anything and everything, but I think as a part of that is, of course, you want to do your best to contribute, and make meaningful contributions. But there's only but so many places that you can do that in one sitting without taking yourself away from another opportunity. So it's like, okay, we can make meaningful contributions, but maybe not to every single organization that has any interest to us.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think like knowing where you want to grow and like maybe like you like for me I did a lot of like journalism and worked with some of like the student newspapers on campus, but then I kind of was like, okay, like I already know how to do that. I'm a little bored of, writing the same type of like news pieces, even if it's like entertainment or lifestyle. It's just not as exciting to me. So let me try, writing a blog for the PR club instead, which is a completely different type of writing. So I think just like also seeing like where like the things that you don't know and how you can learn about them if you're interested is important. And, honing what you do know, but not overcompensating in just one area.
Yeah, that is definitely true because I feel like there's one thing like if you want to concentrate in one area or focus in another area, but I feel like it's so important to also know like the field as a whole a little bit, even if it's just just simply like baseline information. But yeah, that information can really help out. Like if you have trouble with something, you at least need to know what it is that you don't know in order to ask for help.
Exactly. And I think asking for help is also just so important. And there's no shame in that. Always asking good questions. That's how I feel like a lot of people um, would think like highly of me, like because I would ask like questions and like the hard questions sometimes, like, whether that's like doing something with project management or just like in class and you're not understanding something, like asking, a question about why you do something a certain way. I think it just shows that you're, you care and you want to understand not just only how to do something, but why.
That is definitely true. And I know that, you mentioned, of course, that when you had gotten to your university that, they were just now starting the PR club. But out of curiosity, if you happen to know, so like when they were making that, was there a interest in, in public relations people coming to the university, or do you know like what incentivized the university to be like, maybe this is the time to start, public relations?
I don't know too much about kind of why the university was interested in that, but I think that um it's been like a very growing field for the past few years now, and I think people it wasn't as like prominent before, but now, when people are talking about marketing, they also mention PR, and people are more interested to hear about what that is. But I I think that um they did hire like who became the director and senior lecturer of the public relations concentration. Her name's Jenny Donahue. She's such an amazing professor, and has been one of my mentors. She kind of like led and planned like all the courses for this concentration, and was the advisor for the PR club. So it definitely was like purposeful. But that is such a great question. I wonder, you know, why specifically they chose to do that.
Well, nevertheless, though, yeah, I'm glad that it was made during the time that you were coming in, and is is a university overall the one that you had originally sought out to go to?
So I was very open in my college search. I excuse me. I applied to I think like 15 schools, and I did not have a dream school or anything like that. I just really cared about, okay, like I want journalism. I want them to have like a really good journalism program. And then in terms of like financials and all of that, scholarships, that was like my priority. And for UMass, all of that pretty much just worked out. And their journalism program is amazing. Um, so that's mainly why I went to UMass, but it's definitely a bit of luck that all that happened. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out in your favor, and in the process of your PR club becoming a PRSSA chapter, yeah, how was that for you all? Like, what was the process like?
Yeah, so when we started the PR club, we did have in mind, like, we did kind of loosely follow PRSSA nationals, like rules, like our bylaws was based on that. Like our branding, colors, and fonts were based on that. So we did always kind of have the idea of becoming a PRSA chapter, but since we weren't, we could, be a little less strict with certain things, which was nice. But when we did decide in, I think it was the fall of 2022 to become to apply. We did have to like redo our bylaws, create internal and external communication plans to like communicate with members, that we're going to be applying. And like before that, we had to ask our members if that's something they'd be interested in, and that, previously we weren't charging dues, but we would be charging dues now. So it was a lot of change in communicating clearly with our audience how it will change their membership and why they should become a member once we hoped that we would get the chapter, because there's just so many things that, having a national community is so amazing, and the opportunities that came with that were just things that we could never have done, being just a student organization. So it took a lot of delegation on my part, and just like overseeing, everything, like the website, like how are we going to talk about it on the website? How are we going to speak about it to professors and departments versus how we speak about it to the members we already have? It was just a lot of planning, a lot of strategic thinking. But it was so worth it. It was really great that we, were able to launch it in my last semester. I think it was spring of 2023. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of work, but I think what's most important about getting into something like that is knowing how much work it will be, and having, it was a collective decision from the executive board that we were going to, have to be putting in this extra effort, every week. And everyone was just super excited. So it was just great to be, leading a team of such amazing women, um, eager to make this huge accomplishment.
I mean, that is, just so huge that you all were able to, I mean, to do that, and luckily do it before you officially graduated. But yeah, how was it, I guess, for you knowing that you were, you and your team were able to, pull this off, especially within a timely manner?
I think that, we didn't know when we would get approved, but we just made sure that we did everything on our part to have that opportunity to be approved by spring of last year. Um, but I think that, the priority wasn't for us to get it like before I graduated or the other senior e-board members. It was just to, we were at this level of like such great work and communication and teamwork that we felt comfortable enough to take it on. So I think it's just really important, like as a leader, to really be like, talking with your team, not only like for, executive board mat executive board like needs, but getting to know them and like really making sure that like everyone is like doing well in their position and like can handle that, because I think it's not good if you just decide something on your own. I think definitely being on a team is, collaboration, like hearing all perspectives, and then as the leader you do kind of consider everything and make a decision. But I think it was just such a team effort, and everyone was just so, excited and set on this. So I think that really is why we were so successful.
Well, nevertheless, I'm glad that it was able to work out. And so now that you all are officially a PR chapter, I know that, well, PRSSA chapter, and I know that, you're graduated now, but how did things like begin to shift? Was it like a gradual transition for you all, or was it right then and there? And especially for you as Madam President.
Yeah, so we actually heard 1 week before our semester started. So that's why you plan ahead, because you never know when you're going to get news like that. So we had been working on like the communication plans and like how we would change our Instagram handles and our Twitter and LinkedIn, like all those things would need to change to PRSSA and match PRSSA guidelines. So it was like as soon as they told us that they, were launching the chapter and we were approved, they let us know that they were going to be completing a news release about it. And if they were going to share that information, we needed, doing PR for ourselves, we needed to tell our members first, because that's just the right thing to do, to let them know first what's going on and how it will change, our events in the future. And we also, completed some like media relations materials as well, like pitching, our own student media and I was like the spokesperson of the club. So I was, making sure that I had availability to speak with like departments or anyone who wanted to like cover this because it was like such amazing news. So it was like as soon as we heard, we had to change everything and get working on everything, but it was pretty smooth because of like us planning ahead and strategizing about everything we would need ahead of time and delegating who would do that when it was needed.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, at least that it was able to work out for you all, and that you all were able to take full advantage of the opportunities that came with it, and get nice coverage.
Yeah, it was really, really amazing. It was covered in like PR trade publications as well as like our College of Social and Behavioral Sciences houses like PR and journalism. So they like, were posting it everywhere. Because of the launch, I also got to do a takeover on like the official UMass Instagram, which was really awesome. So it was just really awesome to like kind of like really be doing the PR for our chapter, and because that's how you learn, like by getting that hands-on experience. And it was really great to not only be like on the PR side, but I was almost like the client getting like the coverage, so it was really cool to do that.
Wow, really getting experience on both sides of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so, but I know that while PRSSA, while getting your chapter made from your PR club, I know while that was definitely a bulk of your college experience, how also were your academics, and I'm sure that you had also done plentiful internships as well.
Yeah, so I definitely stayed busy throughout college. So when I was a freshman, my spring semester is when like COVID-19 happened, so I was sent home. So that next year, we were all completely remote. I lived, near the school still, but some people were staying home. So it was just like a pretty chaotic time, hard time for everyone really. But, nevertheless, we did continue having, PR club meetings online, and while I was doing that, since I did have like a lot more time, since we weren't seeing as many people, I did get more involved in other student organizations. I was always involved in Charge, which stands for Changing Health Attitudes and Recreating Girls, which is like a fitness organization that also has a national chapter, that basically empowers women to, take up space not only at the gym, but just in male dominated spaces, which I really loved. And I was also involved in a networking group called Tomorrow's Women Today that's based in Boston. And aside from like other leadership positions I had on campus, I did have a internship at a PR agency during I believe it was my sophomore spring semester, and as well as a summer internship um, that spring is I mean that summer. Um, and then I also the next year did a summer internship. So yeah, I would say I think I did two PR internships and one social media strategist position that was contracted, which was amazing. Um, but yeah, I definitely, tried to learn as much as I could when I had the time. I think that after that COVID semester, I did not do as much because I just had so much time, and I realized, okay, this is like a one-time thing, and I don't want to be spread too thin. But I would just encourage like anyone to just like really, apply for those internships. It's also, really competitive and it can be difficult, but know what? You don't have to do a summer internship like everyone. You can do a winter or spring one. It's like you can think outside the box with those things if you don't have time during the summer, or have extra time during the year. I think it's a lot of people think of internships and they think of a summer internship, but I really recommend thinking about doing one during the semester and getting maybe credit for it if you can't get paid for it, or just getting paid. I just think there's a lot of ways to do it, and just it can be online, in person. I've done both, but you do learn so much from those type of experiences as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you were able to like take full advantage of being at home during the COVID-19 pandemic and just making the most of it. Because, like you said, I mean, you don't get these times back, and this sort of opportunity where like everyone's just sort of like not doing as much as they were, and so I'm glad that you were able to take full advantage of being like, well, if I'm gonna have this time, might as well be productive with it.
Yeah, and definitely it taught me so much about like how much I can handle, what I want to be doing. But there's certain situations like that where, maybe it would be good for someone to take more things to do rather than less. But everyone's different. So um yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And of course, you mentioned with some of the organizations that that you were a part of, that you definitely worked to like empower women and and make sure that they're able, you all were able to have more opportunities. So you're able to speak a little bit more about that and like the work that you have done towards that.
Yeah, so I've always, since my freshman year as well, been involved in charge, as I mentioned. And during my time involved in that, I served on different committees, such as like the DEI committee and being a small group leader. And being a small group leader, you basically meet with like a certain group of girls that choose your time each week, and you like do a workout with them, but also, talk with them, become friends, and just like be a safe space for um, especially like the younger students to come to and ask you any questions if they have anything about campus or anything like that. But I would always, during my small groups, encourage everyone to go to the weight room, which I don't know if anyone watching is familiar with what that is, but basically it's just the area at the gym where there's all like the really big weights, and that's where a lot of it's mostly male dominated at most gyms, I would say. And a lot of women don't feel comfortable going in that area because they feel like, oh, if they use like low weights, like it's not as okay, or like that people are looking at them. So I would always have us go there and show them, some workouts that we could do in that area. And I felt that was like my own way of empowering them to be in any space they want to be in, whether that's like a physical space at the gym or like in PR or in other business fields. I think it's just important to have diversity and women in leadership. And I also was involved in Tomorrow's Women Today, which is like a Boston based networking group where there's lots of women leaders that kind of mentor you when you're younger. And that's just been such an amazing opportunity to get to learn from, the best professionals and across fields, and just connect with other women who've, been in similar situations as myself, just looking for a job. And, it's just important to see everyone's different perspectives and just continually learning how we can do better and lead the path for other people.
I love that. And I know since, charge is based on, of course, fitness and everything. Has that always been a part of your life?
Yeah, I always have loved working out just because it helps me mentally, just to think things through, or just like get more in touch with my body. It is something I used to play lacrosse in high school. I wasn't any crazy player or anything, but I just loved being a part of a team, and we would work out like in the weight room. And that's where I kind of learned about that. And then just throughout college, I've loved, doing classes or like doing weights in the weight room. And it's just helped me so much with like mental health and just feeling better physically. For me, it's not about like a number on a scale or anything. It's just about how I feel in my body and mentally. And I just can't recommend, you know, just being active in any way that works for you. Like if that's a walk or if it's hiking or doing like Pilates, like what everyone is different. And that's actually kind of the mission of Charge, is to help women learn how they like to work out and what's comfortable for them.
I love that. I love that you're, really able to, to take a lot of your personal experiences, your interests, but then also use it to help empower others and elevate to other voices. And so I love that you're like really putting yourself on a mission to just, you know, empower those around you.
Thank you so much. And I think something that's really important to me is just to use, my gifts. And to me, that's just writing, communicating with people to really like help others. And I know, I'm only able to like be applying to these PR roles and business roles because of the women that have come before me and, changed the norm. And it wasn't always like this. And, I sit on those women's shoulders and I hope that I can really help other women in the ways that I can.
I absolutely love that you're continuing on that mission, and you're passing the torch forward too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and outside of just your schoolwork, your of course you have the academics, every organization that you were a part of and made a difference in. What do you like doing outside of all of that when it's just time for yourself?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely seems like on paper that I don't do anything else except PR, but that is definitely not true. And I really appreciate you asking me that question. I got really into reading about a year ago. So I always am reading. I really love fiction. Um, right now I'm reading Harry Potter for the first time. I'm almost done with the series. So that's been really awesome to like have that experience. I also love traveling. I studied abroad for it was I believe like 3 weeks in Sorrento, Italy, and that was just such an amazing experience. And every summer I try to go to Europe if possible, and I just love like exploring new places and meeting new people and observing different cultures. I just think I just love connecting with people in that way. And I also really love Marvel, like all things Marvel. I used to read comics. So, I'll watch, the movies or, you know, I just love all that. I'm always seeing the movies on like opening night.
That's amazing. And fun fact for me, like I just got into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of things, like back in 2018.
Mhm.
It took me like about a year and a half or so to play catch up to everything. So fun, like to watch all the movies, all the shows, and outside of that, like I just watched the new Across the Spider Verse movie not too long ago, and so it's really fun to watch, especially like from a storytelling perspective as well.
Yeah, and exactly. Honestly, it's great that you mentioned Spider-Man because Peter Parker's always been my favorite superhero. And I think it's just because he's so resilient and perseverant and just, pretty much always, not always, but most of the time does the right thing just because it's what you should do. And, I really live by that. And, there's a reason that a lot of the superheroes, their real jobs are being a reporter or, a photographer for the news. And I think that's probably also a reason why I went into journalism because journalists are like superheroes, really sharing like important information with people that don't have like the resources to research it themselves or have the time. And I just think PR professionals as well have such an amazing ability to connect people and share important information. And I really hope to do that for the better and have a purpose with that, not just to increase revenue. It's so much more than just that type of thing. It's connecting with people and like sharing information at the end of the day.
I love that, and I'm so glad I asked about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. And I would guess, as a curious question, so out of the different, Marvel movies, comics, and everything else that you've watched, what would you say is your favorite out of everything, if you have a favorite?
Hmm. I do really love Spider Verse as well. Um, I'm trying to think what else. There's just so many like shows, and now it's so great how immersed you can get. Um, but I would say I also really liked the Low Key show, which is coming back soon. I think like this week actually. Yeah, Spider Man has always been my favorite. So I can't, And the Spider Verse movie, the new one, I saw it like 4 times or something. I just could not get enough.
Well, I'm glad at least that you were able to, to really go into the nature of it. And I mean, and I'm glad that you're able to have that like connection even to like your career path that you're on and everything else that you do. And I guess speaking of which, yeah, so now that you are of course, in your job search and also taking time for yourself, like what do you think is the next step for you? Like what do you think is the next opportunity you're going to leap for?
I think the most important thing to me is working with companies that really value their people and have like missions similar to mine, like to elevate diverse people and women in leadership. And then, having clients that are also like change makers, whether that's in like real estate or healthcare or lifestyle, there's so many different ways you can help people. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping to be working at a PR agency fairly soon. Um, yeah, and the most important thing to me, I think, is the people I'm working with and, that culture. I think in today's age, we're so lucky we can have a say kind of in that. And, previously it wasn't as important, but I'm so glad that companies really they want to make sure that you fit in with their people and that you're happy and have a life outside of work, which is also important to me.
I love that. And so will yeah, I guess a dream job for you be one that allows for you to continue your traveling, continue to to work out and truly make the most of your Marvel fandom.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's like where I'm thinking for like my first job, and it's definitely, competitive, and I just want anyone out there to know like that's applying, like it's a process, and it's a full-time job to apply to a full-time job. But just to keep going, like it's been, about like 2 months for me at it, and you just got to keep persevering, keep learning from, you know, what didn't work and find what works. And, I know eventually the right job will come for me, and I'm just excited for that.
Well, I'm sure it will come for you. And out of curiosity, do you plan on staying where you are right now in New York, or potentially where you did your studies in Massachusetts, or is just the field right open for you?
I am looking in New York to start. I'm currently located in Long Island, but I would love to work in the city. So, yeah, right now I'm focused on like New York City or anywhere around there.
That makes sense. And yeah, I'm definitely very hopeful that you will find something soon. And I'm sure like it's right around the corner before this even releases, because I mean, you've just done a lot to really elevate your own skill set and elevate the voices of others. So I'm sure that an opportunity will come for you in no time.
Thank you, Brandon. And I feel like just again, like it's definitely like hard to be applying, and you get rejections. Like I've gotten rejections, and I just want like people to know like that's just how it goes. Like you could be the best candidate, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you just have to keep persevering, and it will work out.
Yeah, I definitely, it is a part of the process. And it's one of those things where I feel like some things always happen for a reason. And so while one door may close, I feel like, I know people say, that another door opens, but the way I view it is that's when you make your room shine the brightest. And the doors will just, the doors, windows, whatever the case may be, will just, allow for you to enter.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like going back to how I just applied for the secretary position, like I've applied to a lot of other things and I haven't gotten it. And it's fine, You just try cuz you just don't know. And, you know, you're gonna not get everything that you want, but that's just a part of the process, and that's why I just think it's so important to try, and like the Nike quote, like just do it because you just don't know what will come. And looking back, if you didn't try, I feel like you always think like, what if I did and what would have happened?
That is so true. And before we begin closing out, I did actually want to circle back to to something else, and in that I know that you are of course a passionate storyteller through your work. And so are you able to speak a little bit more about that as we begin to wrap up discussion momentarily?
Yeah, I just really enjoy, like, at the end of the day, PR is connecting people with the right people. Whether that's customers, a community, employees. reporters. There's just so many target audiences. And I think that I just really love companies that, have a strong mission statement. Maybe they're trying to sell products, but behind that is something, more important and something that they do for the better. And really just like using my skills of writing and communicating to like tell that right story to the right people in the right way, um, is definitely something I really enjoy. Because it is a way of helping people, whether that's getting a product that will make their life easier, or understanding something that's happening in their community or at their job. It's just communication is so important. um, and a lot of the work that companies do that you see is PR and people don't realize. um, so I think it's just really like my passion for storytelling is just connecting people at the end of the day and making sure people are receiving what they need to know.
I really love that, that you're really devoted to, the connecting part of, both journalism and public relations, just because, I mean, I feel like it is just so important. Like, we're doing this for others, and,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just about selling the products or the services. And don't get me wrong, those are important for business, but for us as people, I mean, I really always love it whenever you can see companies and organizations really caring about their base, but also the people who work for them. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that that is just, an important part of the mission for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And as we're, beginning to close out though, is there anything else that you wanted to mention before, we head on to, I guess, the closing part?
um I just want to say like I'm so happy to like connect with anyone like that sees this and is interested in like just talking to me, even if it's just to hear from someone else in the same position, or find out more about PR. I do at the end of the day, like you said, Brandon, I love connecting with people, and I think it's so important in this type of field to like have those connections that want to see you succeed. So um yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone interested.
Well, awesome. And so that leads right into the next part. So, for anyone that wants to connect with you and learn more about your journey, where's the best place for people to find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. And I also have like a portfolio website where you can contact me. And that website is Zeilander, my last name, .wordpress.com. And I'm sure the other social media will be linked.
Yeah, and I will say I have checked out your website, your portfolio, and you've just done a really amazing job at like putting it all together, and it looks like so visually appealing. So definitely kudos to that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sure you put a lot of hard work and dedication into making that. But yeah, and so last but not least, for anyone, for those who are still tuned in, what would you say would be the final thought that you would like to leave everyone with as they're tuned into this discussion?
I would say, going back to my favorite superhero, with great power comes great responsibility. And I just think that with whatever you do, at the end of the day, a job's going to be a job, but I think it's important to have passion behind it. And you're not going to love every day, probably, but at the end of the day, doing something that helps the greater good with, what you're good at, I think is something I've learned to be really rewarding.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Alana, for coming on here and for empowering all of us here today. I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Brandon.
Of course, it was so great meeting you. For those of you watching and listening, thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode. I always appreciate your support. But until next time, have a great rest of your day, and let's continue on our mission to bring people together. I'll see y'all next week. Take care.